Sheikh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi spent only 17 days in the suhbah, in the company of his Shaykh, a Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi. And he received in such a short period of time the khilafah, the spiritual lineage of his Shaykh, the spiritual khilafah from his Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. So naturally, those who were disciples of Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullahi alayhi for many years became shocked and became angry on this decision. Some of them who were not yet achieved the status of spiritual enlightenment, those who were during the course of the tarbiyah, naturally they became jealous that we have spent many months, many years in the company of the Shaykh, but the Shaykh never gave us his khilafah. And this man, young man, he is here only for a couple of days, and within these couple of days he received the khilafah, he received the spiritual successorship from the guide, from the Shaykh. So they became jealous. The Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was silent, remained silent, never answered them. They treated him badly after that, the next few days. They misbehaved with him. They did not realize that the Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was different to them. And they were not happy with the decision made by their spiritual guide, which means their link with the spiritual guide was not correct, was not based on love yet, it was based on intellect. They were thinking, we are here for so many days, so many months, and he has been here for only a couple of days, and he has received the khilafah. So it means these people, their link with the Shaykh was not a link based upon love, it was a link based upon aql, upon intellect. The Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi realized this. So what he did was, as soon as he heard this, he called all of his disciples and he said to all of them, he said, take one chicken each, and he gave them all a chicken and a knife, and he said, I want you to slaughter this chicken and to cook it and prepare a meal for it and bring the meal to me. But make sure, wherever you will slaughter this chicken, you will make it halal, make sure that no one sees you. Do it in total seclusion. Do it in such a place that nobody can see you. And secondly, he said, bring me tomorrow, when you come, after having prepared the meal to me, bring also a flower to me. I want you to bring a flower with it. The next day, all the disciples came again in the gathering of Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullah alayhi. All had prepared a meal. All had slaughtered the chicken. All had prepared meal and brought the meal in front of the Shaykh. Except of Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya. He never had a meal with him. And neither did he had a flower with him. Every other disciple had a flower with him. So they all became happy. They all thought, oh yes, today he was not able to fulfill the commandment of the Shaykh, so the Shaykh might take the spiritual blessings from him. But the Shaykh had something else in mind. The Shaykh wanted to show the disciples and make them realize why he gave the khilafah to Baha-ud-Din Zakariya and why he didn't give this khilafah to them. And he said, and he asked Baha-ud-Din the question, oh Baha-ud-Din, why didn't you prepare a meal? Why didn't you bring a chicken and slaughter a chicken and then prepare a meal and bring the meal in front of me? And why didn't you fulfill my commandment that you do not have a flower with you? The Shaykh disciple Hazrat Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullah alayhi said, Ya Shaykh, I went everywhere. I went to the jungle, I tried to slaughter the animal there. I went into the room, I tried it there. I went everywhere, but wherever I went, I realized I am not alone, I am not in seclusion. Almighty Allah is always with me. Almighty Allah is always watching me. No matter where I am, I might hide myself from others, but I cannot hide myself from Him, from Allah. You said that I have to do it in absolute seclusion, in a place where nobody can see me. Oh my Shaykh, there is not such a place where Allah cannot see me. Allah can see me everywhere. So this is why I was not able to do this. The Shaykh smiled at hearing this, and he asked the second question, why didn't you get a flower, pluck a flower from somewhere, from a garden? The Shaykh said, Ya Shaykh, wherever I went, I realized, I saw the flowers, that the flowers were busy remembering Almighty Allah, doing zikr of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I thought, how can I deprive the flowers from remembering Allah? When I will pluck them and make them die, they will not be able to utter the name of Allah anymore. They will not be able to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore. This is why I did not want to deprive them from the zikr of Allah. This is why my Shaykh, I was not able to fulfill the second commandment as well. The Shaykh smiled again and hugged Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. The other disciples realized their mistake and they became ashamed and they became embarrassed. And Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi said, now do you know why I gave the khilafah to him and why I didn't give you the khilafah, even though you spent more months, more years than him with me? This was Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, spending 17 days in the company of his Shaykh, the great Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi, and receiving the khilafah, receiving the spiritual lineage. And then he was ordered by his Shaykh, O Baha-ud-Din, go back to your native land, go back to Multan. I want you to initiate the Suharwardi order there. I want you to propagate the message of love, the message of kindness, the message of peace, the message of harmony, the message of good behavior towards the Creator as well towards the creation among the masses. I want you to make them realize the love for Almighty Allah, the love which I have initiated in your heart. I want you to initiate the same love now in the hearts of many thousands and millions of people. So Baha-ud-Din, go back to your native land. Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi from there traveled back towards Multan, and he was accompanied by another great saint and great Sufi of that time, and who was also a disciple of Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, Sayyid Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. Sayyid Jalaluddin Tabrizi was also a disciple of Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. So they were both Peer Bhai, which means they were brothers in the sense, they were brothers already in the sense of humanity, in the sense of mankind, but they were brothers in the sense of spiritual brothers, that they shared the same spiritual guide. Sayyid Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, as well as Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, both from their own went towards Multan, and they had to travel through the city of Nishapur. In the city of Nishapur, at that time, another great Sufi, a great Shaykh of that time used to live, whose name was Shaykh Fariduddin Attar rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, Sahib Tazkiratul Awliya, the great author of the great beautiful book Tazkiratul Awliya on Tasawwuf, on Sufism. They met the Shaykh because of a reason which some have mentioned, some have not mentioned, and I do not think it is important to mention that reason, but because of some small dispute, small difference of opinion, Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he left Nishapur early and he went to another place rather than going to Multan, and Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala continued his safar towards Multan. In fact, the reason why they did so, and you might think that Sufis are those who are very kind towards each other, who are very merciful to each other and to others, then these were two spiritual brothers. Why did they get dispute between them? Some have written, I would like to share it with you, some have written that Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi, when he sat in the company of Shaykh Fariduddin Attar, Shaykh Fariduddin Attar, the great Sufi, asked him that, can you tell me in the city of Baghdad who is a great Sufi? At that time, Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi, when he was in this company and when he was asked this question, because of the heba, because of the spiritual status, the spiritual rank of, and because of the aura of Shaykh Fariduddin Attar rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he was not able to answer this question. So he didn't answer anything. He remained silent. He later on, when he came back to his brother, spiritual brother, Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he narrated this event. And he said, I was sitting in the company of Shaykh Fariduddin Attar rahmatullahi alayhi. He was asking me that, who is the most pious in taqwa, in khashiyya, in khawf, who is great in spiritual excellence in Baghdad, who is a great Sufi in Baghdad? And Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi expected Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi to have mentioned and uttered the name of their Shaykh, Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, to have answered that question with his name, because this is their spiritual Shaykh, Shaykh Shahabuddin, who was in Baghdad, who was the greatest Sufi at that time. But when he was told by Jalaluddin Tabrizi that I never mentioned anything and I remained silent because of the spiritual rank and I could not utter anything, I forgot everything, Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi became displeased, unhappy with him. And he said, what kind of disciple are you? You spent so many years, so many time in the company of the great Shaykh Shahabuddin Umar Suharwardi, and you are his disciple. Being his disciple, haven't forgotten him for one moment also. This is something which is not correct, and this is something which has now become a curtain between you and me, a veil between you and me. So now on, you should travel alone, I will travel alone. This is the reason why Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi and this Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi went to their own ways. Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi went to Delhi, and Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi went to Multan. But however, even though this dispute, even though this difference of opinion, this dispute between these two great shuyukh, great Sufiya, let me tell you what Sufism is all about. They have yet informed us what true Sufism is, what true Sufis, what their approach is. Jalaluddin Tabrizi, when he went, the great Shaykh, when he went to Delhi, he was welcomed by the great Sultan of that time, Sultan Shamsuddin at-Tamash. And Sultan Shamsuddin welcomed him, gave him a warm welcome, and he gave him such a great welcome that the jurist, the faqih of that time, the sheikh-ul-islam of the time in Delhi, whose name was Najmuddin Sughra, he became jealous. And he thought that he became an opposer of Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi alayhi, because he thought that when the Sultan is giving him such a great welcome, showing so much reverence to him, showing so much respect to him, it may happen that I will be deprived from the title of Shaykh-ul-Islam and this title will be bestowed upon Jalaluddin Tabrizi. This is what Najmuddin Sughra thought. Because of his ill thought, this is what, he was not a Sufi. He was just an alim. If he would be a Sufi, he would never be bothered about titles. He would never be bothered about positions and ranks. But he was a mullah. He was an alim just. He was not an alim ba amal. He was just an alim. So he was looking at the external things. He was looking at the positions, at the ranks. He did not purify his nafs. So this is why he became an opposer of Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. In fact, what he did was, Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi spent some time there in Delhi. During this time, the king, the Sultan, showed utmost respect for him, utmost reverence for him, and the Sultan used to go to in his company, sit in his company most of the times to gain blessings from him, from Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi. However, Najmuddin Sughra, the jurist, the judge, Shaykh-ul-Islam of that time, he realized that he might be deprived now and this title would be given to Jalaluddin Tabrizi. So what he did was, he gave money to a prostitute, and he said to the prostitute that you have to accuse him that he has had an illegitimate relationship with you. So he accused this prostitute, this woman, she accused the great Sufi saint Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi of having an illegitimate relationship with her. What happened is, the Sultan Shamsuddin rahmatullahi, Sultan Shamsuddin, he had to now give a verdict. He had to call a court, and now he called all the ulama of Hind, 250 awliya, ahlullah, 250 Sufis from Hind were all gathered in Delhi to judge and to give a judgment on this matter, whether Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi did commit such an evil act, or whether this is just an accusation on him. What happened is exactly, it's inshallah al-aziz going to be discussed in the next episode. In the next episode, inshallah al-aziz, my dear viewers, we are going to show you the documentary as well of the shrine of Shaykh Baha-ud-Din Zakariya rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. And inshallah, we'll continue from here. What happened when this great Sufi saint, Shaykh Jalaluddin Tabrizi rahmatullahi